What's going on? Welcome to Starting Over for the Last Time. I am your host, Coach Nkrumah, your alignment and identity coach. Here on this pod, what we do is help give you the tools, the awareness, and the understanding to make the next start your last start so you can have lasting change in your life and live the exact life that you want. Today, we're going to be talking about something I'm very excited to talk about today. The version of you that wants change is not the one that's in control. The version of you that wants change is not the one that's in control. I'm looking around because I'm trying to see. I don't know where the book is. It's probably on another shelf. So I read a book by Eckhart Tolle called The Power of Now. And I've probably talked about this multiple times, but it's just something that has always felt so powerful to me, and that's sort of where we're delving at tonight. And so Eckhart Tolle, he tells a story. Well, he's a whole master coach now, but he tells a story about how he learned to get into the present. And it started with him being suicidal. So he was depressed and sad, and he was getting ready to commit suicide. He planned his whole suicide, got a suicide note together and everything. And before he did it, he just was thinking about it, and he just said, "I can't live with myself anymore. Gotta, I gotta end it." And when he said that to himself, that opened up something in his mind. He said, "If I can't live with myself, is there two of me? And is there one of me that does want to live?" And that was just so powerful to me when I was reading his story and reading his book, because it always seems like you want more. It always seems like you want better, you want change, but somehow you just can't do it. Like you can't make the change. You can't get enough willpower. You can't get enough motivation. You can't have a better routine. It's just like something is always keeping you back. And so what we're talking about tonight is that the version of you that wants change is not the one that's in control. And the crux of really what we're dealing with is there, for lack of better terms, there are more than one of you. There are more than one of you inside of you. Now, that sounds very strange, but I'm not talking about multiple personalities or any kind of bipolar or anything like that, any schizophrenia. I'm not talking about none of that. Um, I'm talking about your conscious mind, your subconscious mind, your habits, your reflexes. Like all of these are different parts of you. Like we don't control reflexes. Like you ever see like when a doctor hits the knee and the leg just move, like we don't control our reflexes. We don't control, or some things that we can control, we give the control over to our autonomic nervous system. Like you can control when you breathe, when you blink, but if you stop controlling it, your body just takes over. So if your body can literally take over your physical body doing something, then that's not the conscious you. So the conscious me can just stop right now. No breathing. Just breathe out. The conscious me can do that. But once I keep going, the conscious me is gone. The conscious me is not controlling that breath. The conscious me is not controlling my blinking. And in many ways, the conscious me is not even controlling me talking. Like when you're just in a flow of talking, like real, are you really thinking about every single word that you're going to say, or is something just flowing from you? So that's the crux of what we're dealing with tonight. Is there is multiple versions of you, and the weakest version of you is the one that wants change, not because you're weak, but because that's the newest version of you. And the older versions of you have so much more strength because they've been lived for way longer than this new you that wants change right now. So for the past however many years, the other version of you has been living and getting stronger, it got memories, it has reflexes, it has emotions. And this new version that you're trying to walk into, it doesn't have any of that yet. So it's the weaker version going up against the stronger version, and the stronger version is those older versions of you. So it's not that you can't create the change that you want. It's simply that the other parts of you are in control, and we have to learn how to strengthen that new desire so it can take over our lives. So let's get into this. Wanting change does not give you automatic voting power. Now, our desires feel like authority because it's conscious, it's verbal. Like I can articulate exactly what I want and who I want to be. Our desires, they think in sentences. They imagine futures. They even make plans. But actual decision making does not require language or thought. Decision making does not require language or thought. What you have with your desires. When you're driving down the street or you're driving on the highway, you're going 80 miles an hour. You are not thinking turn the steering wheel slightly to the left to move into the other lane. You're not thinking pull your foot back 50% off of the gas. You're all of that is just subconscious. The decision making is happening and it's happening so fast. So decisions, real decisions are often made somatically, emotionally, and reflexively. And it happens before thought can even catch up. Like somebody throws something at you, you move or you catch it or you knock it down. You're not thinking, move to the left, duck to the bot, swing with your hand. Your reflexes, the decisions are happening before thought can even catch up. So the part of you that wants change, it can make a compelling argument. We can talk about it, but your arguments don't run the systems of your body. They might advise them, but they don't control them. So the systems of your body, your habits, your routines that are programmed inside of you, those things are have way more power than this new decision or your desire to change simply because you've lived them more. And if you aren't, I don't even want to say the word intentional, if you aren't aware that, listen, I know I have this new desire, I know I have these new goals, and I'm going to have to fight the older version of me because the older version is still there. You don't just have a desire and now you're this new person. The older version of you is still in there, and you have to show your nervous system that this new idea of who you want to be and what you want to have is something that is safe, because the old version is what feels safe to your nervous system right now. So just because you want change or just because you have a desire, that doesn't mean that you have a vote in the nervous system right now. Change is not something that happens instantly, and this is something I really got to talk to myself about right now. I've been over the past week dealing with something, and what I've had to constantly tell myself is slow down. I move a little too fast. I get excited and I jump out the window. Like that's who I've been. Like I get the idea and I'm jumping on it. I'm running with it. I'm never afraid to risk it all to my detriment sometimes, but I've never been afraid to just go ahead and do it. I'm not somebody who really gets, paralysis and analysis. I ain't Once I got the idea, I feel like I got it down pretty good. I'm going. I'm going with it. And what I've had to talk to myself about this week is slowing down, because not only am I starting fast, but I typically want to see results fast. I want to see the change fast. If I started right now, within 30 days, I want to start seeing something happening. And I had to talk to myself over the past week. See, that's what I'm saying. It's more than one of us. Talk to myself, right? I'm talking to myself saying, slow down, slow down. You got to be able to. I'm the king of pauses now. I take a pause before everything, because I don't want to keep trying to just jump into things instantly, or to be better put, I don't want the old habits and the old me to be the one that respond to everything. And so that's why I had to take pauses. That awareness is the beginning of the change. Before you're aware, the old you just takes control so fast that you don't even recognize it took you away from your desires. It took you away from your goals. It took you away from the new routine that you're trying to have. It happened so fast that you didn't even notice until you looked up a couple of days later, and you like, damn, damn, I ain't do it. Perfect example, right? Years ago, I was on a diet. I'm always on a diet. I was on a diet, and then I went to the Chinese store and I got me some General Tso's chicken. And I was halfway through eating my General Tso's chicken when I said, I'm supposed to be on a diet. The old version of me happened so fast. Like I didn't decide to break my diet. It wasn't a choice to break my diet. The old habit just happened. And when we're not pausing between everything that we do to recognize, all right, where am I going from here? And what's controlling me from here? Is it the old me, or is it the new me that I want to be? If we're not taking those pauses, the old version of us is going to happen so fast, we're not going to recognize it, excuse me, until it's too late. Probably a day or two later, or in the middle of it, like I just was like, damn, I'm already here. Might as well finish it. So, want to change does not just give you that automatic voting power, meaning it doesn't automatically make your body do what, like, I know this might sound, all of this might sound a little strange, and I'm trying to make it as normal as sounding as possible. But our body controls our body sometimes more than most times more than our conscious brain. Because most of your brain is not conscious. The only thing that's conscious is everything up in your prefrontal cortex. Everything else is all subconscious. So our our somatic systems that are in our body, our autonomic systems in our body, is what really controls our life more than our conscious mind. But since we only think in the conscious, we think our conscious mind has more power than it does. So that's why oftentimes we get down on ourselves, because we think that we can willpower our way out of something, because all you are thinking about is your conscious mind. But your conscious mind is having information, and you can have arguments and you can have dialogue, but that's not what's controlling your body. I talked about it last week. Or 2 weeks. I mean, yeah, last week. Your conscious mind is not what controls your urges. Your urges are all a subconscious thing. You're not thinking consciously, oh, I want to do this. You have a feeling, and then that feeling leads to the thought, but it's the feeling in the body that starts first. So wanting change doesn't give you that voting power that says, listen, this is what we're going to do today. Nah, it's not like that. We have to work on those internal things in order to weaken the old version of us and strengthen the new version that we want to be. Now, our internal control is assigned by repetition, not intention. What you intend to do is never going to be as strong as what you repetitively did. Our bodies, I talked about this book before, The Body Keeps the Score, right? Our bodies remember everything even when our conscious mind doesn't. So you're thinking in your mind, right? All right, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to have. This is what I want to be. This is what I want to change. This is how I want to act. This is how I want to respond. This is how I want to feel. This is the emotion I want to have. This is what I want to project into the world. You're saying that in your conscious mind, but you've never lived like that. And so your body's like, I don't I don't know none of that, but I do remember how we lived. I do remember how we respond. I do remember how we feel. So inside every person, control is earned through consistency and not your desire. Whatever part of you has made the most decisions under pressure becomes trusted by our internal operating system. That part gets promoted, regardless of whether it aligns with your current values, dreams, morals, ideas, beliefs. It doesn't matter. What have you done before? So again, this is where the pauses are so necessary because if you're not pausing before you move, if you're not pausing before you think, if you're not pausing before you respond, your whatever is strongest is going to take over. That's how it's going to be. That's how you're going to move. It's how you're going to feel. It's how you're going to respond. It's what you're going to say. We have to have a life where we pause before everything. Pause before we say something back to somebody. Pause once we hear. So listen. So the way our brain works, right? We have it's called the low road and the high road. When information comes in through all of your five senses, it goes in through your, I believe, your thalamus. Um, then it goes through like your amygdala to your prefrontal cortex and everything. So just like the road, literally like that, right? So if you are overly emotional about something, the information never gets to your thinking brain. Your amygdala shuts the information down and sends signals back to your thalamus and then begins to produce chemicals in our body that have us in fight or flight, and you never actually thought. There's no because you didn't pause, you're responding as a basically as an animal because this system was in place. You got to remember, we did not always live like we lived before. We lived in the caves and we lived outdoors and we had animals that were trying to attack us. So we didn't have time to think, is that a snake? Now, if I see something on the ground looking like that, I need to just jump and get away. And then I can come back and it's like, oh, that wasn't even no snake. But that's not good in our life when there's a conversation and you're so emotional about it, you start arguing. And I see this all the time. You start ignorantly arguing and you don't have no information. You have not read a single book. You haven't listened to a single lecture from a professional. You don't have no knowledge, but you arguing your lights out over how you feel. And the information never even got to your thinking brain because if you actually paused and sat and let it get past your emotions for you to logically and rationally think about something, your opinions will be different. So now that's the low road. Now the high road is when you're able to pause or when you're not emotionally charged. The information does not get blocked at your amygdala. The information goes to your prefrontal cortex, and you are allowed to actually rationalize the information that you're getting. without any kind of emotion. It's just all logic. You're looking for facts. When you're dealing with the emotion, you're not dealing with facts. You're just dealing with how you feel. And most of the times, how we feel is wrong. So the pausing is needed in everything so we don't just respond ignorantly or respond in a way where it's not factual. We're just going off of how we feel. And so many people are just living life going off how they feel and they're wondering why things aren't going right because you're not using no logic. You're not looking for the facts. You're not trying to figure out what's actually going on and how to actually make the next move. It's just, well, I feel this. Your feelings, while it's valid that you feel them, your feelings aren't always valid. You might not like that, but that's a fact. Your feelings are not always valid. In fact, many times your feelings are invalid. Even when it comes to, oh, I'm gonna get in trouble for this. Even when it comes to how you think somebody's treating you, how you're viewing somebody else's intention. I see people talking, well, something might happen and they will project maliciousness onto an individual who wasn't even trying to be malicious. Now it's one thing to say, hey man, this is how I felt when you said or did what you did. It's different when people are saying things like, well, you did this because you feel like I'm less than you. It sounds like that person never said that. That's something that's totally inside your mind. You're in your feelings. So, in order for us to get to the logic, in order for us to get to the rationale, we have to pause because that internal control, the control of who you are and what you do, how you show up in the world, is assigned to that old repetition and not what you intend to be. But the thing is, when you pause, you can move into the intention and away from that old repetition. But if you're just letting things move that fast, you are always going to be operating as the old you and not the version that you intend to be. So not only is the internal control assigned to repetition, our internal operating system follows what feels familiar, not what sounds right. I said this last week. Our brains have nothing to do. Our brain's number one job is not about thinking. Our brain's number one job is survival. Our brain's number one job is survival. So it's always going to do what seems familiar. Again, if you don't pause, if you just allow it. So how do I work this? So I gotta sit up for this, right? So I get this right. I want to really paint this picture right. Because I know like this stuff might sound so freaking foreign and crazy. I'm trying to get this right. The system follows what's familiar, not what sounds right. So everything about us, right? Everything, from our minds to our body, our cells, everything is all connected. But we were created as beings who are out in the wild, out in the caves, running for shelter from the winds and the waves, and running for shelter from the animals and all of these different things. So we still have a lot of that inside of us because that's what we come from. It's just in our DNA. So our bodies are designed to make sure we survive. That's even with evolution. Like a lot of times people think evolution is about something getting better. Evolution is not about anything getting better. Evolution is about helping that species survive. So if the species has to lose something in order to survive, it will do that. Or if it has to, what we might think of as getting better to survive, well, whatever it is, it's all about survival. So now in our bodies, it's what we've already survived is what the body looks at as familiar, like, or this is how we survived before. Anything new is a risk. Anything new is not damage. I mean, not that's not the word I'm looking for. Damage. I hate when I lose it. Our bodies are looking for what's familiar and what we've already been through, what we've already survived is what the body understands as safety. Like we've been through this, this is how we've been through it, and this is what keeps us safe. But when you introduce anything new that we've never been through before or ideas that we've never recognized before, the body looks at this like this is something new and something that we've never been through before. So this is not something that's safe. So your body begins to fight you. And I talk about this a lot, but this is something we really have to understand how our body will fight our goals. Our body is looking at these things like, yo, this is a threat. So we have to slowly introduce things to ourselves. Think about yourself as two people. Think about you got a protective you inside. Start there. It's a protective you inside. And then there's this conscious you. So this protective you is always trying to keep you safe. This protective you is it's like that friend that don't play about you, and as soon as you talk to somebody, they like, nah, I don't like them. I don't think they're good for you. And that friend, they might sabotage a relationship or an opportunity for you because they was thinking they was keeping you safe. So there's like this protective you inside of you that you don't control. And this protective you is what has the power over your body right now, as opposed to the conscious you that is making these decisions and that not making these decisions, that has these desires and has these goals. So you have to introduce slowly these new ideas into that to that protective you until the protective you says, okay, this new thing is familiar now, and now I'm not gonna fight it. I I hope that didn't sound too crazy. You got to start introducing stuff to your nervous system. One of the things I learned to do was creative imagination. I love to sit by water. And what I would do is I would sit by the water and I would imagine this new version of myself, because your brain does not know the difference between real and imagined. Your brain, it's a neurological fact, your brain does not know the difference between heavily imagined and something that's real. So I used to deal with imposter syndrome. I was always, and I think this came from church. You know, in church we were taught, you know, every time you speak or something, when somebody gives you a compliment, you just say, "Oh, to God be the glory, to God be the glory." And constantly doing that made me uncomfortable accepting praise. So anytime somebody said something great about me, it made me uncomfortable. I was fine with my gift being great because my gift comes from God. So the gift can, I've never been what people so called humble about my gift, but I was uncomfortable with my person being celebrated. Like there was a difference between me, the individual, and the gift from God. The gift from God can be great because that's the gift from God, but me as a person, I couldn't take praise. So what I had to do to work on that was I would sit in my creative imagination and I would imagine myself doing things and people celebrating me. And I would imagine it until I can feel it. And once I start feeling that uncomfortable feeling, now I know I'm cooking. I continue to imagine. I continue to imagine until my body starts to see that when this happens, nothing bad happens to me. And I would do it for 30 minutes every day. I would do it for 30 minutes every single day. I would sit and I would imagine until I could feel it. And once I feel it, I would go deeper into the imagination because I have to introduce this to my nervous system. And the more I did it, the more my nervous system got comfortable with it. So, whatever it is that you want, who you want to be, what you want to do, you have to imagine it. And I know when you start to imagine it, you're going to feel those feelings, whether the feeling is some kind of anxiety, whether the feeling is fear, whether the feeling is some kind of self-sad, whatever that feeling that rises up, um, worry, doubt, you're feeling like you're not good enough, feeling like you're not capable, you're feeling like nobody is going to support it, nobody's going to believe it. Even if you change, they still going to bring up the old you. You got all of these feelings that will rise up. Continue in the imagination as long as you can. Allow that feeling, allow the feeling to come. Feel it. It's okay. Right now, this is a controlled environment. This is not even really happening. This is just in your mind. But do it until you feel it and let that feeling linger and continue in the vision, continue in the imagination. And the more you do that, that, once you get heavily in the imagined reality, your brain takes it as real reality and it begins to rewire your nervous system. And now it's once you imagined it so heavy and nothing bad happened, your nervous system said, "Oh, we can." Oh, excuse me. It says, "Oh, we can do that," and not going to happen. So you're introducing it to that protective self. And then once that protective self begins to embrace it, then subconsciously, somatically, emotionally, you'll begin to do the things that you need to do to reach the goals you desire to reach. You'll begin to make the decisions that you desire to make, all because it has now become a part of you, and that protective version of you is not fighting it anymore. So another reason why this happens, this struggle, the version of you that wants more is often so new and untested. So the part of somebody that wants growth, peace, alignment is usually the youngest internal voice. So let's say, so your, your conscious mind has a voice, your subconscious mind has a voice, your body, your physiology has a voice, your emotions have a voice, your memories have a voice, your pain and trauma have a voice. So this is why I started off saying it's more than one of you inside of you. All of those different things have a voice. But this new you that you want to be is the youngest and the weakest voice. Now, let's talk about this so it doesn't sound wild, right? So your subconscious mind has a voice. That is typically the most powerful voice, because that one is it's just pulling strings. You can't even hear it. It's been programmed so deep with so many different things that it's just going to do what it's going to do unless you program another system. That subconscious mind is the strongest one. That's always going to be the loudest voice, no matter what. It's just you have to learn how to program your subconscious mind. So you can program it through the creative imagination, you can program it through affirmations, you can program it through meditation. So you can program that subconscious mind. But the subconscious mind is always going to be the loudest voice. It's just what are you ingesting? If you are ingesting, like a lot of times we'll say we want this new life, but We're spending our time watching, reading, and listening to things that have nothing to do with who we're trying to be. And then we're wondering why change is so hard. It's because your subconscious mind is still being programmed by all of these negative things or all of these things that are not conducive to who you say you want to be. Now, let's talk about your your emotions have a voice. So, how do you typically feel about things? How have you historically felt about different things? That's going to speak. What's the next thing I said? Your physiology. Like I said, your body remembers everything. So your body, like I talk about what I've been still struggling with, but I'm aware of it, so it's being a lot better. My father's death date is coming up in about 8 days, and Januaries have always been hard for me, and I never understood why until I read The Body Keeps the Score, and then I realized, oh shoot, my body is used to being sad around this time of year because it's my father's death date. So your body is remembering all of these different things, your body is going to have a voice. So if you're trying to start some new business, but you fell before, remember how bad you felt when you fell before? Your body remembers that. So when you try to start this new business, your body goes right into that old feeling. Oh, that's how we felt last time. No, don't want to feel this again. Your memories, what are things you do actually remember? They're going to have a voice. But that's what creates a lot of worry, a lot of anxiousness, or a lot of doubt. Like, I didn't succeed the last time. You start thinking about every way you failed last time, and you're like, man, I'm probably gonna fail again. Your worries have, I mean, your memories have a voice. Now we know our pain and trauma speak for us so many times before we could even think that the trauma version of us jumps out, and your trauma's gonna have a voice. So all of these different parts of you have voices that have been built over time. We haven't properly addressed them. We haven't found ways to overcome them. We haven't found ways to quiet their voice. We haven't found ways to heal those versions of us. And since we didn't, they you have all of these different powerful voices in you speaking. And then you got this newborn baby version of you that just happened last month about you wanting to change. And it's like, and everybody else is big and strong, and now we're gonna do it this way. And now remember the last time? Now, do you remember the last time? And then this new version of you is you got a it's a newborn baby version going up against all of these other powerful parts of you. Now, I'm not saying this to say you can't win. I just need you to understand I want you to understand what's happening and why you keep being on that cycle, keep starting over and over and over, because we start to feel like it's something wrong with ourselves. And that's how we eventually end up giving up and never attaining what it is that we want to have. So, the version of you that wants more is often new, it's a baby, it's untested. And so you're not going to be able to overpower those voices immediately. But the longer you stay with that voice, the longer, I mean, the bigger it gets, the louder it gets. The more you work on yourself, the more you work on healing those other parts of you, those voices get quieter. The more you program your autonomic nervous system, the more you are reading about what you want to do and who you want to be, the more you're watching things on what you want to do and who you want to be, the more you're going to lectures, the more your information that your body is receiving that pertains to the new you, the more your subconscious mind grabs a hold of that. And once you have more of who you want to be being ingested by your subconscious mind and less of who you used to be, eventually that voice becomes the loudest, and you begin to make the best decisions for yourself without even thinking. So I'm sort of kind of talking about self sabotage, right? So self sabotage is is often really just a chain of command issue. So we're talking about all of these voices, and there's a chain of command. Earlier we talked about one of them being promoted. People label their behavior as self sabotage because they assume it's one unified self. In reality, as I was saying, there's more than one of you inside of you. So it's not really self sabotage, it's the wrong self winning. When you're functioning like from a self sabotage mindset, right? It's easy to feel a way about yourself. I keep sabotaging myself. It's easy to quit. It's easy to get down on yourself. It's just easy to just let go when you're like, I'm self sabotaging. Now, I understand the what the phrase means. So I'm not trying to be one of those people who are like, you've been listening to this word all this time, and that word is wrong. I just want to go deeper. Self sabotage is not you sabotaging yourself. Self sabotaging is the self sabotaging you. It's the other version of you inside that's sabotaging what the new you wants, because the new you is in conflict with the old you. The new idea is in conflict with the ideas that we've already been through. Your new dreams are in conflict with the old reality. So it's not that you are consciously sabotaging yourself, it's the life that you've lived trying to continuously hold on when another part of you, this newest part of you wants something different. So it's not your fault. You're not harming yourself. You're not intentionally sabotaging yourself. Your willpower is not weak. You're not lacking motivation. You're not lacking discipline. It's just it's more than you in you working. And you have to understand that if we're not working to quiet the voices are always going to win. The voices are always going to win. And this is why willpower is unreliable. So willpower belongs to the part of you that does want to change. It's effort based, it's conscious, but it's limited. The part of you in control does not need willpower because it's operating automatically. When people rely on willpower, they're trying to overpower authority instead of understanding it. And that's why it eventually collapses. So you're trying to force the old you to do something new, and you can't do it. You could do it for some time, but eventually, I know like we talk about what doing stuff for 21 days until you make it a habit. All of this different stuff. You can force the old body to do something for some time, but the moment you have any lapse, the moment you don't pause, the moment you don't think, the moment you just close your eyes, figuratively, that old routine comes back instantly. Boom. You're going to go right back to what's familiar because you didn't change the old you. You're trying to force the old you to do something. You can't out discipline identity. You can't outwork identity. You can't new routine away identity. You have to quiet the voices. You have to understand that my subconscious right now is programmed to listening to gangster rap and watching all sorts of negative stuff on TV and reading all sorts of negative comments on social media. And because of that, those voices are loud. So I have to start changing some of this, not forcing my body to do something new. Now, understand, I'm not saying don't create a routine. I'm saying that's not where the power lies. We have to get the routine, but the power is internal. So I have to understand, all right, what do I have to do to quiet these voices? So let's take one thing away. Let's take, if I don't need the social media for business and marketing, let's take the social media away if I've been addicted to that. And I know that the social media has made me feel inferior. The social media, I'm watching everybody else's highlights of their life, and I feel like at my age I should have more. And you putting all this new stuff in your mind. Let's get rid of that one thing. Now, your music, all right. We ain't got to get rid of everything in one day because that's going to be impossible. Let's add a positive podcast to the week. Let's add some, album that's not talking about all kinds of negativity. When I'm going to my YouTube, let's watch something educational. Let's slowly introduce things to our body so our body can get used to it and start desiring, because your willpower is not going to be enough. You can force yourself as long as you can. But it's like people who are addicted to drugs. Sometimes they might be clean 2, 3 years, and one thing happens and they go right back to being the old version of that just popped in my mind. So think about your old you being an addiction. And then think about somebody you might have known that, and you know they were trying. You know they were trying hard, but one thing happened and boom, they relapsed. They went right back. That's what this is like. Those old voices get loud no matter how much willpower you have. You might have been doing it for 2 years. And then the old you just comes fighting right back because you never got rid of it or you never healed it. So before we wrap this up, I want to give you one simple tool, and this we've already kind of talked about it. There's one thing that you can do immediately right now, and we're not talking about just changing your life forever, or right. I mean, changing your life immediately or anything like that. But for the next week, what I want you to do is, before you do everything, I don't care if it's before you tie your shoes, take a pause. Take a pause and ask yourself, what is leading me right now? Am I being led by the old me, or am I being led by the version of me that I want to be? So you go to work, before you respond to your boss, before you respond to that email, what's leading me? Am I being led by that old version of me, or am I being led by the new version of me that I want to be? Pause before you do every single thing. That awareness is going to help you be able to choose to do what you're supposed to do according to the you that you want to be. And then that actions will become evidence for your nervous system that it's safe. That pause and that thought is going to keep you from just habitually doing what you normally do, because we spend most of our life on autopilot. Like literally, we spend, like, some you drive home from where you get home, you don't know how you did it. You just did it. You just drove. Your eyes were defocused at times. You just was turning your turn signal on a move. You wasn't thinking about nothing. You don't even know how you got home. You was on autopilot. It's time to turn the autopilot off. And we turn the autopilot off by pausing and recognizing what's leading us right now. So the version of you that once changed is not the one that's in control, but it can be. You just have to have the awareness, you have to take the time, and you have to allow your nervous system to feel what you want to be, who you want to be, until it recognizes it as safe. I thank y'all for tuning in. It's Coach Nkrumah right now. I just released my new book. Where's my hand? Killing Yesterday. Make sure you go to killingyesterday.com. Pick up a copy. And also, starting next Thursday, what's that date? January 29th, I'm going to be doing a weekly webinar on how to start over for the last time. So go to coachnkrumah.com/last dash time. So it's last, then a little dash like that time. Coach Nkrumah /last dash time to register to the webinar. I gotta get it right. How to start over for the last time, January 29th, 8 p.m. 8 p.m. And if you want to get a free download of the first chapter of Killing Yesterday, go over to killingyesterday.com and download that first chapter for free to just see if that's something that you're even interested in. But I believe once you read it, you're definitely going to want more. So stay tuned. I will be back tomorrow.